Imagine reuniting with a long-lost spiritual brother and diving into a whirlwind of lectures and high-profile meetings. Swami Vivekananda's arrival in London was not just a journey of geographical distance, but a profound encounter with intellectual and spiritual giants. Welcome to another chapter in Swami Vivekananda's remarkable journey. In today's episode, we'll explore his vibrant activities in London, his engaging lectures, his interactions with influential figures like Max Muller, and the deep personal connections he made. Join us as we uncover how Vivekananda's mission continued to expand and inspire across continents. A pleasant surprise awaited Swami Vivekananda on his arrival in London. Swami Sharadananda had already come and was staying as the guest of Mr. Sturdy. The two Swamis had not seen each other in a very long time. Swami Vivekananda was told all the news of his spiritual brothers at the Alambazar monastery and their activities in India. It was a most happy occasion. Swami Vivekananda soon plunged into a whirlwind of activity. From the beginning of May, he conducted 5 classes a week and a Friday session for open discussion. He gave a series of 3 Sunday lectures in one of the galleries of the Royal Institute of Painters in watercolours in Piccadilly, and also lectured at Prince's Hall and the lodge of Annie Besant. In addition to speaking at many clubs and in educational institutions and drawing rooms, his audiences consisted mostly of intellectual and serious-minded people. His speeches on Jnana Yoga, containing the essence of the Vedanta philosophy, were mostly given in England. Canon Wilberforce held a reception in the Swami's honour, to which he invited many distinguished people. At one of the meetings, at the close of his address, a white-haired and well-known philosopher said to the Swami, "You have spoken splendidly, sir, but you have told us nothing new." Quick came the Swami's reply, "Sir, I have told you the truth. That the truth is as old as the immemorial hills, as old as humanity, as old as creation, as old as the great God. If I have told you in such words as will make you think, make you live up to your thinking, do I not do well in telling it?" Loud applause greeted him at the end of these remarks. The Swami was quick in repartee. During the question period, a man who happened to be a native of Scotland asked, "What is the difference between a babu and a baboon?" "Oh, not much," was the instantaneous reply of the Swami. "It is like the difference between a sot and a scot, just the difference of a letter." In one of his public lectures in England, he paid the most touching tribute to his master, Sri Ramakrishna. He said that he had not one little word of his own to utter, not one infinitesimal thought of his own to unfold. Everything, every single thing, all that he was himself, all that he could be to others, all that he might do for the world, came from that single source, from that pure soul, from that illimitable inspiration, from him who, seated there in my beloved India, had solved the tremendous secret and bestowed the solution on all, ungrudgingly and with divine prodigality. The Swami's own self was utterly forgotten, altogether ignored. "I am what I am, and what I am is always due to him. Whatever in me or in my words is good and true and eternal came to me from his mouth, his heart, his soul." Sri Ramakrishna is the spring of this phase of the earth's religious life, of its impulses and activities. If I can show the world one glimpse of my master, I shall not have lived in vain. It was Ramakrishna who brought him in contact with Max Muller, the great German Sanskritist and Indologist, who had been impressed by the eloquence of Keshab Chandra Sen and his religious fervour, and had also come to know of the influence that Sri Ramakrishna had exerted in the development of Keshab's life. From the information that he had been able to gather from India, Max Muller had already published an article on Ramakrishna in the 19th century, entitled "A Real Mahatman." Now he was eager to meet a direct disciple of the Master and invited Swami Vivekananda to lunch with him in Oxford on May 28, 1896. The Swami was delighted to meet the savant. When the name of Ramakrishna was mentioned, Swami said, "He is worshipped by thousands today, Professor. To whom else shall worship be accorded, if not to such?" was Max Muller's reply. Regarding Max Muller and his wife, the Swami later wrote, The visit was really a revelation to me. That little white house, its setting in a beautiful garden, the silver-haired sage with a face calm and benign, and forehead smooth as a child's in spite of 70 winters, and every line in that face speaking of a deep-seated mine of spirituality somewhere behind. That noble wife, the helpmate of his life through his long and arduous task of exciting interest, overriding opposition and contempt, and at last creating a respect for the thoughts of the sages of ancient India. The trees, the flowers, the calmness and the clear sky, all these sent me back in imagination to the glorious days of ancient India, the days of our Brahmarshis and Rajarshis, the days of the great Vanaprasthas, the days of Arundhatis and Vasishthas. It was neither the philologist nor the scholar that I saw, but a soul that is every day realizing its oneness with the universe. The Swami was deeply affected to see Max Muller's love for India. "I wish," he wrote enthusiastically, "I had 100th part of that love for my motherland, endowed with an extraordinary and at the same time an intensely active mind." He has lived and moved in the world of Indian thought for 50 years or more, and watched the sharp interchange of light and shade in the interminable forest of Sanskrit literature with deep interest and heartfelt love, till they have sunk into his very soul and colored his whole being. The Swami asked Max Muller, "When are you coming to India?" All men there would welcome one who has done so much to place the thoughts of their ancestors in a true light. The face of the aged sage brightened up. There was almost a tear in his eye, a gentle nodding of the head, and slowly the words came out, "I would not return then, you would have to cremate me there." Further questions on the Swami's part seemed an unwarranted intrusion into realms wherein were stored the holy secrets of a man's heart. Max Muller asked the Swami, "What are you doing to make Sri Ramakrishna known to the world?" He himself was eager to write a fuller biography of the Master if he could only procure the necessary materials. At the Swami's request, Swami Sharadananda wrote down the sayings of Sri Ramakrishna and the facts of his life. Later, Max Muller embodied these in his book, The Life and Sayings of Sri Ramakrishna. One day, Sharadananda asked the Swami why he himself had not written about the Master's life for Max Muller. He answered, "I have such deep feeling for the Master that it is impossible for me to write about him for the public. If I had written the article Max Muller wanted, then I would have proved, quoting from philosophies, the scriptures, and even the holy books of the Christians, that Ramakrishna was the greatest of all prophets born in this world. That would have been too much for the old man. You have not thought so deeply about the Master as I have, hence you could write in a way that would satisfy Max Muller. Therefore I asked you to write." Max Muller showed the Swami several colleges in Oxford and the Bodleian Library, and at last accompanied him to the railroad station. To the Swami's protest that the professor should not take such trouble, the latter said, "It is not every day that one meets with a disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Besides doing intensive public work in England, the Swami made there some important personal contacts. The names of Goodwin, Henrietta Muller, Margaret Noble and Sturdy have already been mentioned. These knew him intimately during his second visit and had become his disciples. Now came the turn of Captain and Mrs. Sevier. The captain was a retired officer of the English Army, 49 years old, and had served for many years in India. Both were earnest students of religion and had sought the highest truth in various sects and creeds, but had not found it anywhere. When they heard Swami Vivekananda, they intuitively realized that his teachings were what they had so long sought. They were deeply impressed by the non-dualistic philosophy of India and the Swami's personality. Coming out of one of the Swami's lectures, Captain Sevier asked Miss MacLeod, who had already known the Swami in America, "You know this young man? Is he what he seems?" "Yes. In that case, one must follow him and with him find God." The captain went to his wife and said, "Will you let me become the Swami's disciple?" "Yes," she replied. She asked him, "Will you let me become the Swami's disciple?" He replied with affectionate humor, "I am not so sure." The very first time the Swami met Mrs. Sevier in private, he addressed her as mother and asked her if she would not like to come to India, adding, "I will give you my best realizations." In our next episode, we'll delve into Swami Vivekananda's deepening relationships with devoted followers, his inspirational European travels, and the visionary plans he began to set in motion for his spiritual mission. Join us as we continue to explore how Vivekananda's travels and connections shaped his enduring legacy. Thank you for listening till the end. Please subscribe, turn on the notifications, like, comment, and share with your friends. This will help more listeners to discover our channel and content.